but now we're stressed out. Wish we could turn back time to the good old days when the moon was saying us to sleep, but now we're stressed out. Used to play bunny. We used to play pretend, wake up, you need the money. Used to play pretend bunny. We used to play pretend, wake up, you need the money. Used to play pretend, give each other different names. We would build a rocket ship and then we fly far away. Used to dream of outer space, but now they're laughing at the face, saying, wake up, you need to make money.
What is going on, everyone? How we doing? Welcome to Special Media here with the MXL Pro Night. Got some great racing coming up. We already got Moto 1 in the gate. Getting just a few things settled here. As it does sound like revs are already up here for Moto number 1 in Portugal. Gate is down, and we are racing. Who is going to grab our whole shot here? Looks like it's going to be Chubbs on the MXL is going to grab our whole shot. Right, as they are coming through that Ace Moto tabletop. These guys absolutely flying, battling it out. Couple big names here tonight in this race. See if we can't get this camera up and rolling here. There we go. Ford shot, Dr. Geo, Rax buried here in the back. Chase as well. A lot of people that we are expecting to see up front, like I said, buried. Coming into tonight, Kozak, our points leader, is going to get kicked over the bars. Goes flying there. That is going to allow Chubbs and Ethan on that AEO Canvas KTM to grab that early lead from Chubbs. Chubbs a strong competitor here in the MXL series, running number 2 in the points. But Brad on that LMC KTM making a pass up the inside on Chubbs, going to move his way into the number 2 spot. Just kind of taking a look back, seeing where the rest of the field is. Kozak getting up and moving. Ocean. Looks like we got Brock W on that AEO. Tyrone. We got Leslie. Chase on that Cold Hearts. Actually, I believe he is on the Fantic today, as he was telling us. Ford shot G-Rob. They're heading down that JV Designs. Step down Fear. Dr. Geo going down. Shark, Moto, Coxie. Rider we have not seen here lately, but we have seen him up on the podium with us before. Great to see Coxie dropping down to the 250s, giving the MXL series a try. And his teammate Seawalk still riding very strong. Looks like Seawalk sitting in about 15th-ish, maybe. Let's jump back over here to our leaders. So we do still have a battle here between Brad and Ethan. Brad actually getting around Ethan on track. Looks like there might be a few cuts involved there. Not way too early to dictate on who's going to try and run away with this. Chubb still not letting these guys go. Holding strong in that number 3 spot. But Brad on that LMC CDS KTM making it look easy. There is Chubbs on that MXL team, still riding real strong. Kozak starting to get his wheels back under him, but has his hands full with Brock W. Making a charge from the number 5 position. Scrifty sitting in 6th. Strider and Chase battling it out for that number 7 spot. Chase trying to charge his way towards the front here. Tyrone. Ocean. Fear Murda, another strong rider in the 250 class, as we see him making his way past Ocean. G-Rob right behind him. And a whole slew of riders still side by side. Coxie trying to make a charge. That was Fish, Omnipotent, Zeke, Moto, Ben. These guys absolutely flying out here. This track is a very high pace. Not too rough of a track. Very different than a lot of the MXGP tracks. So we are seeing Rax also making a charge, trying to get his way back up through the pack. Looks like he may be on the TM, a bike we do not see very often. He skies that single, heading out to the start straight or across the mechanics area as they hit that AB Customs step down. Actually going to kick it on over to our split camera here, trying something a little different today. Trying to get a little action from a couple different angles. But it does look like Brad's still holding on to that lead. Oh, and Brad's going to take a tumble. That is going to allow Chubbs and Ethan to get past him there. Going to need to mount a charge to catch back up to these guys. All these guys running very fast lap times. Brock W still trying to catch these guys. Has gotten around Kozak. Where are our other riders? There is Rax, Chase. Scrifty falling back. Strider now putting the pressure on him. Fear, Murda, G-Rob. A couple big names still making their way up through the rest of this pack here. Brock W, Rax, a couple guys that we have seen on the podium very consistently. Kozak, I believe, has about a 40-point lead, 45-point lead over second in the point standings. So he is looking pretty solid right now. He just needs to keep that bike on two wheels, keep charging forward, and consistently finishing more up front. And I think he will have this championship on lock. But as we all know, in the MX Bikes world, anything can happen. And one race could really dictate if Kozak is going to take the championship or not. But as I'm talking about it, let's go find our leaders here as the battle still continues for that number one spot. Brad and Ethan battling it out. Chubbs must have slid back just a little bit, but still not too far off the rear wheel of these two guys. I apologize, as we got right into racing, I do have the man Matt in the booth with me tonight.
I've just been so concentrated on watching these guys up front, man. They're in such a fast pace, it's hard to keep up.
It really is. I had to bump the speed up on my drone just to keep up with these front three. See if I can pull up some timing and scoring. Actually, it looks like fastest lap right now has been held by Rax with a 139.8. The rest of the field being almost 2 seconds slower than that. So Rax absolutely flying out here, trying to make the charge to catch these front three guys. He has moved his way up into the number 5 spot, but in tow has Chase on that Cold Hearts bike, just absolutely flying, and right behind him there, Brock W, one of those other names we know, has the speed to run up front. He's sitting back in that number 7 spot. But as we're sitting, Brad, Chubbs, and Ethan trying to pull away from the rest of the field here.
Looks like Ethan has closed the gap a little bit on Brad here.
I was just kind of looking over, though. Unfortunately, Ethan has picked up about 4 seconds of cuts. So on track, he is right there. But as we see in timing and scoring, that does not show the case. Chubbs and Brad also have about 1 second of cut each. So Ethan definitely has the short end of the stick, but as we can see, his speed is definitely not missing. We poke back. There is Rax and Chase as well. Only about 10 seconds off our leaders, so very possible to still make the charge up to these guys. Still have about 11 and a half minutes here in Moto number 1. As we've seen in the past too, even if you can just ride consistent, we've seen a few guys up on the podium. I believe even at Lakewood, I don't even know if Brock W won a moto, but he took the overall. So definitely do not want to slouch on anything, and every position at this point matters. We were watching Rax come down that hill, up and over that finish line, and hitting that big uphill triple. Chase right in tow with him. We'll have to see if these guys are able to close that gap in as we continue. Sliding just up a bit from them, we see Kozak starting to get his name involved with this battle for the lead, as he now has Ethan and Chubbs in his sights. Looks like Ethan may have had a bit of a mistake. That's going to allow Brad to get just a bit of a gap here. Almost 4 seconds already. See the man Rico in the chat. What is going on, brother? If y'all don't know, Rico is the host of this MXL series. Big shout out to him. Wouldn't be possible to have this great of action in racing if it weren't for those guys over on the MXL team. But as we are sitting, Chubbs on that MXL team, sitting in that number 2 spot, still riding very strong. All these guys' lap times almost identical at about a 141. But I got to say, Kozak, that last lap, put down a 140, so about a second faster. But exactly what we were all thinking. Rax now has Kozak in his sights. Kozak with a little bit of a mistake coming up that chicane. Like I said, you cannot let off for just a little bit, as Rax now in that number 5 spot has Kozak within reaching distance here. They're going to launch their way back down across the mechanics area. Have to keep the drone awful high for that one. And Matt, you're up on the leader, right?
Yes. Sorry about that.
No, you're good. You're good. Brad definitely looking like he is riding real strong. Have you seen any mistakes out of Brad lately?
Not but the one bobble he had earlier. So far, he's just been really consistent and just flicking off these laps. I mean, he's just putting in a really good race. He's railing these outsides, keeping a lot of speed.
It is awesome to see. Actually, a name that we don't see very often in this series, but looking to make a splash here in the MXL Pro class. But speaking of splash, if you guys are looking for a suspension guy, make sure you check out SPX Performance for any suspension needs. Splash does an absolutely fantastic job over there at getting people set up for these big races. Additionally to that, he also does some rider coaching, so make sure you guys go check him out. But as we jump back to the action, Chase on that Cold Hearts and department team absolutely flying, still keeping Rax in his sights as they are now closing in even closer on Kozak. Ethan, actually, with the amount of cuts that he has, is slid back to 5th. And it looks like we had a mistake out of Chubbs. That's going to allow Kozak around him. Now has Rax right behind him. Going to make a little bit of a mistake. Rax is going to get the inside. And that's going to move Chubbs from 2nd back to 4th. And he cannot slow down, as he is going to have his hands full with Chase, who is right behind him there. This is absolutely crazy. The top 6 riders all within 10 seconds of each other. Really expected somebody to at least run away with this, but even then, leader only about 5 seconds ahead of this pack, as Chubb's now going to get around Ethan on track. So next up is going to be Chase.
Well, that could all change in this next lap. I could see some intensity coming in here as we're starting to peek in on some lapped riders coming in.
That is always an interesting part of these motos. Even though these guys are incredibly fast, sometimes there's no way to predict how the lap traffic is going to be. And with all these riders just almost side by side, it's going to be a tricky one for a lapped rider to get out of the way. These guys coming through that finish line section. Rax still chasing down Kozak, who has moved himself into the number 2 spot, has a little bit of a mistake. Oh, and Kozak does it again. Gets kicked over the bars by that AB Customs drop-in. And he is actually going to lose 2 spots. Chubb's going to move himself back into the number 3. But as we see, Rax now moving up into the number 2 spot. A guy that we expected to be towards the front here tonight. And just like you said, as we get into some of the lap traffic, going to have to make sure they get out of the way. Rax having to choose an alternate line here. Lapper still not getting completely out of his way. Rax is going to get around that corner, get the downhill triple, and pull away from the rest of these guys. I said Chubb's on that MXL THV KTM, still riding very strong in that number 3 spot. Has Kozak on the AEO canvas in 4th, right behind him. Ethan, Chase, all these guys right here. It looks like Rax already closing that gap in by down to about 3.5 seconds. So as we get closer, we will definitely have to make sure we jump up and watch that battle. Is Brad coming across that finish line? There is Rax. See what our split time is. 2.5 seconds. Looks like that gap is a little bigger on track, but Brad does have about 2 seconds of cuts. Rax sitting at none. And now Chase going after Ethan. As we have been so fixated on the front 6 guys of this moto, kind of just taking a look back. Fear Murda now sitting in that number 7 spot on the Kawasaki. Good to see a couple different bikes here in the races. Strider on that MXL team in 8th. Ryan on that Race Tech KTM in 9th. Coxie. If we can even find these guys, let's try and swing back down here. There is Fear. Ryan, Strider. There is Ocean. An absolutely great ride. Brock W as well. Oh, and Coxie retires. And just as we were talking about him, Tyrone. There is Mustard, Ford Shot. Coxie's teammate, Seawalk, sitting in about that 15th position. Shark and Henrique getting at it. Henrique, unfortunately, still cartwheeling. And there goes Fish on that mesh visuals. Husqvarna and Coltrane, a guy that we thought was going to be doing a lot better, struggling here in Moto number 1. Same thing with MXB Aiden. I know those guys are definitely more Supercross guys. There's Omnipotent, Ghost on that Surgeco, and if we're paying attention, we should be seeing our leaders come back through. As there is Brad.
It's about to get very interesting. There's 3 lapped riders between Brad and Rax here.
Looks like Brad gets through relatively clean. Rax now has to do the same thing. Going to choose an alternate line. Really smart decision as 2 of the lap riders get a little bit of a tangled there. What is going on, Carter? See you hanging out in the chat. Another lap rider going down. Going to make it a little easier on Rax there. Brad still riding very strong. Still has those 2 seconds of cuts, though, so making it that much more interesting. But there is Kozak still sitting in that number 3 spot. Is going to have his hands full now with Chase, who has now made around Ethan and Chubbs. Chubbs must have had a couple mistakes sliding back now into the number 5 spot. Like I said, Ethan with a few too many cuts, now sitting at 6 seconds. It's actually crazy. As we are getting into this moto, these guys are picking up the pace. Everyone running about a 141 early on. Looks like all the lap times now are down into the 139s. Actually, Rax holding that fastest lap time. And it looks like timing and scoring that Rax is now sitting in the number 1 spot. Has he passed him yet on track?
He has not. I think it is just he's close enough with the cuts that it's going to put Rax in first position.
Interesting. Yeah, and Ethan getting collected by one of those lap riders, going to allow Chubbs to catch right back up to his rear wheel. So Chase on that Fantic, trying to make a non-meta bike work here in the sea of orange. I think Rax has the same kind of mentality on that TM. There is Chase, and he has Kozak in his sights. Kozak coming up short on the step up. Going to be a drag race through the rollers. Who can stay the lowest? Looks like Kozak is going to have the line. Two different lines here. Chase swinging all the way around the outside, letting everything hang out. Don't know how that bike stayed on the track. He's going to dive to the inside. Kozak felt the pressure, slid out of the way. And Chase is going to now move himself into that number 3 spot as they head back down that Black Label triple. It now looks like Rax has almost a second and a half over Brad. They've got to be like side by side, right?
Oh, he's definitely eating some dirt off of the back of Brad's bike here. It's gonna get interesting here in just a minute.
Say as they come back up the hill, making that horseshoe, dropping back down the hill, and Rax!
Oh, and Rax goes down.
Gonna make the mistake, tried to scrub down the hill. Unfortunate event for Rax there. Still has about 2 laps to see if he can mount a charge, hoping that Brad has the same luck as him. Looks like they are about 8 seconds now above Chase, who is still on a charge, has Kozak right behind him there. We got Splash hanging out in the chat with us. Splash, did you catch my shout out earlier? I thought it was a pretty clean segue into the sponsor. And there is Rax still sitting in that number 2 spot, about 4 seconds down from Brad. I said about 2 laps left. Definitely have to check the VOD on that one there, Splash. Said Rax on that AEO canvas TM. Still riding really strong. Still holds the fastest lap time here in Moto number 1 with a 1:39 flat. But Brad still riding very strong, very consistent. Is Brad coming back down the hill towards that finish line. Going to be grabbing the white flag here. He's got 1 more lap to hold on. 3.5 seconds over Rax.
I believe he's going to have to keep that gap in order to win this one, right?
Yeah, he has about 2 seconds of cuts, so he cannot slip up too much. Rax actually does not need to pass him on track. We are seeing Brad still make it through some of this lap traffic. There is Rax coming up the Navo step up. Coming into the rollers. Only 3 seconds now behind Brad. Some of the E-roads starting to come into play. These outsides getting chewed up quite a bit. But as we are watching these guys come through, Chase still sits about 11 seconds back from the leader, has his hands still full with Kozak on that AEO canvas KTM sitting in that 3 and number 4 spot. Everybody's still riding very close together. It seems like everyone's kind of picked up their riding buddy.
Everybody but Brad here.
But as we sit, let's kick it on over to your camera. Grab the last few riders coming across the line. Brad sits about 2 seconds over, and Brad is going to come across the line in the number 1 spot. And we're going to see as Rax. Where did Rax go? There he is. Must have made a mistake.
Off-track detour.
But has Chase and Kozak right behind him there. So very close finishing in that top 4, about 11 seconds separating those guys. We're waiting to find Chubbs on that MXL KTM. There he is in the number 5. Ethan stayed right with him in that number 6 spot. See if we can find any other battles. Looks like Fear Murda all alone, 10 seconds ahead of Brock W. Strider still riding very strong. Ryan, great ride for him, sitting inside that number 10 position. Great ride for Ocean as well. Oh, and Ocean actually makes a mistake just before the finish line. I don't think he had anybody close enough except Mustard, who also made a mistake. Makes it easy on him there. Got a battle coming here towards the finish line. Looks like 2 guys duking it out, and it looks like Ford Shot's gonna get him. Looks like Seawalk cartwheeling. Here comes Seawalk across the line. I said, absolutely battling it out there with Ford Shot in the final turn. Coltrane, MXB Aiden. I believe we have one more rider left on the track. 1 or 2 more. Oh, it's Tyrone. I'll kick it over here. It looks like Tyrone may have ran out of fuel as he is pushing his way across that Ace Moto tabletop. Omnipotent going to be jumping up over the top of him.
He's going to get there. He's determined.
I say keep going, man. Keep pushing.
At this point, just cut the tracker.
Yeah, sometimes though, if you cut and you miss a timing gate, it won't count the lap. So if anybody's listening and wants to help him out, come push him up this hill. It looks like he is going to try and cut. Let's see if it counts.
Can he get it up the hill?
Strategic pause there.
It's going.
Let's see on the leaderboards. Tyrone, yeah, he crossed 20th. He does get across the line, even after running out of fuel. Probably not going to make that mistake come Moto number 2. But once again, absolutely phenomenal race in here. Brad taking Moto number 1 on that LMC CDS KTM. Rax coming across in the number 2 spot on that TM, chasing the Cold Hearts. Fantic, a bike we do not see very often. Actually, 2 of those bikes we don't see very often. Kozak in the number 4 spot on that AEO Canvas KTM. Chubbs. And it looks like we already have the horn going off for Moto number 2.
That's insane.
These guys, not a break. No water, nothing. Oh, it looks
Hope
like,
you
okay,
put
there he
more
goes.
fuel in your bike.
Puts it back to practice. But yeah, this track, I'm very interested to see kind of here in Moto 2 how the E-Road kind of sets up. Pretty fast track, pretty smooth track. But we'll have to see. And then obviously in our rider interviews, see what they think about the E-Road. I mean, as you were watching pretty much up at the front that whole moto, what was your thoughts on Brad, and how did the track look, at least from his perspective?
Chew. Brad made it look so easy.
I hate to say it, all these guys do.
I know, right? It's insane how fast and how smooth they can hit these lines. The track doesn't seem like it's shaping up too bad here. Honestly, it didn't look like he had too much of an issue with E-Road.
I think some of these GP tracks, it's kind of hit or miss. Some of the tracks, E-Road, pretty gnarly. Other ones, pretty tame. But it does sound like the horn is going off here for moto number 2. We're going to see if Brad is able to continue that progression and make it a 1-1 night. We know Rax, Chase, Chubbs, Ethan, those guys here in moto number 1 battling for that overall position. But to say that not a lot of riders that you cannot count out for the moto number 2 win. We are getting ready to watch the start
Looks
here.
like your top guys are all here on the inside. You got Brad, Chubbs, Chase, Kozak, Rax, all to your right side, taking that inside gate.
Kick it on over to that split camera, kind of get a 2-angle view here on the whole shot. We start to hear revs going up. 30-second board is down as we are getting ready for MXL Pro Night, moto number 2 here in Portugal.
See who gets the jump.
We are underway. Gate is down. See a sea of KTMs come charging into turn 1. And it looks like it's going to be Brock W on the Husqvarna grabbing the whole shot. He has Brad, Kozak, and Ethan, Chase, Fear, Rax all right behind him. So all of our top guys in moto number 1 right there here in moto number 2. We see Cobia in there as well. Scriptures and him getting a little tangled. Ocean Strider. I believe that's coded Shark. Henrique, MXB Aiden. All some big names. There is Seawalk coming up that big uphill triple on that Normsco KTM. And Kozak
goes down.
Oh, and it's collecting a bunch of people. This is an absolutely gnarly section. MXB Aiden also getting tangled up.
Brock W continues to hold this lead. Brad and Rax right behind him.
Say this opening lap is always crucial, making sure that you get that early jump, charge forward, and get away from the rest of this crew. As we are seeing Chase try and make his way through. There is Ethan, Seawalk, and Kozak now buried back just a little bit. Looks like the last time he checked in was about
Brad
13.
had an issue, it looks like, allowing Rax to get around.
Ooh, that can make this overall interesting. As we know, it is a 2-moto format, so with Brad sitting in 4th right now, actually behind Fear Murda as well, I believe the overall would go to Rax. But as we sit, Brock W on that AEO canvas, Husqvarna in the number 1 spot, his teammate Rax sitting in 2nd, and also their teammate Fear Murda in 3rd. All 3 riders on different colored bikes. And actually, if we take a look, the entire top 5 are all on different bikes.
It's good to see some color, not everybody just riding that meta bike, you know?
I agree. I know Chase has been a big push for that, trying to get different people on different bikes, and it seems like that's being the trend here for the MXL series, and I absolutely love it. I mean, just right here.
It's good to see a variety instead of a sea of orange.
Agreed. As we see Fear on that Kawasaki, Brad on the KTM, Chase on that Fantic as Brad catches a tough block, goes down hard. He's going to lose about 4 to 5 positions here.
Oh, no. Tough luck for Brad.
We know he has the speed, though. He needs to mount a charge and get back up there.
Oh, Brock goes down. Rax to 1st.
Well, yeah, there he is. Jumps out to the lead. Brock W needs to stay on his rear wheel and hope that a mistake happens. Unfortunately, with Rax, that is not a very common occurrence. These guys already putting about 4 or 5 seconds on Chase on that Cold Hearts Fantic. Beer Murda still keeping Chase in his sights. And Kobia, a guy that we did not see up front in Moto number 1, sitting in about 5th right now.
Oh, and Rax goes down,
Ooh.
allowing Brock W right back around him.
Like I said, a very uncommon mistake. So Brock W needs to take that and run with it, as he might not get another opportunity like that. Chase now has Rax in his sights. Once again, our top 7 riders are all within 10 seconds of each other here after lap, what is this, number 3? Oh, and Brock W makes a mistake off the track. That's going to allow Rax and Chase to get by. We now have a TM in the lead and a Fantic in second. Both guys
Confused there for a second. I'm like, what happened to Brock?
Both guys, actually 450 riders, stepping down to the 250 to run this series. They are showing that they are fast on whether it be a 250 or 450. And there is Fear Murda and Brock W, his teammates. So these guys probably sitting in the same VC call together. And do you think there's any team strategy in there, or are they just pushing and going?
I would say probably just pushing and going.
Say, because as they sit right now, we see AEO in 1st, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. I'm sure all these guys sitting in the same call together. Looks like Brad and Kozak still battling it out here. Brad trying to move his way up into the number 5 spot. Fear Murda off the side of the track. Don't know what happened there, but he's going to watch about 5 positions go past him. It's unfortunate for him there. He's got his teammate Ethan now all over him. Strider, Ocean, Shark, and Seawalk. That is looking at about 9, 10, 11, and 12. Good ride here in Moto number 2 for the man Seawalk on the Normsco KTM. I do not know what gear or bike that he is riding tonight. We don't have any of it. We still see that big battle here. Kobe actually looks like he's going to fall another spot here to Brad. Oh, and Kozak makes a mistake. Is going to allow both those riders up the inside. Looks like a lap rider, Dr. Gio there. Looks like he may retire out of the race. And just taking a look up at the leaderboard, it looks like Brock W moves into second. What happened to Chase? Oh, there's Chase. Must have had a big mistake. And Fear also goes down there as well. So we now have a battle. Oh, and Kobia blows off the side of the track. Oh, and then makes another mistake. Unfortunate there for Kobia. But we now see Brock W sitting in that number 2 spot. Kozak moving up to 3rd. Brad now into 4th. Oh, it looks like Chase is right there with him. I think Brad has about a second of cuts, so that is why we're still seeing on timing and scoring. Chase absolutely launches that wall. As we're seeing Kozak, Brad, and Chase all right together. Chase, I thought, was going to have the strong ride to chase Rax down. But unfortunately had a little bit of a mistake sliding back, like I said, down to that number 4 spot. There is our leader, Rax, holding about a 3.5 second lead over his teammate, Brock W.
I haven't looked at none of the times, but just judging by what I'm seeing on the track, it looks like Brock is actually closing that gap very slightly.
It looks like as you say that, Rax puts about another second on him. Heard you talking, figured he would turn it up just a little bit. And it looks like there's Rax. Where did Brock W go? There he is now. It looks like might be a little more than 4 seconds. We're starting to see Kozak, Brad, and
Yay.
Chase now all in the same screenshot.
Either he slowed down or, like you said, Rax just kicked it up a notch.
Yeah, he just fell back another 3 seconds. And it looks
Rax
like
absolutely sending that single.
it is crazy watching those guys launch that thing. And watching Chase come through there. He swings that thing wide and just catapults. But as I'm saying that, Brad and Kozak get tangled up on that roller. That actually allows Ethan and Chase to get around them. And I would say the battle here for this about 3rd, 4th, 5th, and 6th has been the best action we have seen all night. But now Chase on that Cold Hearts moves himself into the number 3 spot. He's going to have to try and put the burners on to catch up to Brock W, who we still see riding a very strong race in that number 2 spot.
When Rax falls down in a turn, quickly gets right back up.
And here we see a 3-way battle now. Ethan, Brad, and Kozak. Those guys battling for that number 5, 6, or 4, 5, and 6 positions. Ethan actually going to come out on top as we sit right now, moving himself up into the number 5 spot. Shim calling out the TM Fantic, go crazy. And definitely Rax and Chase showing that those bikes are not completely garbage. Kozak, though, holding the fastest lap time here in Moto number 2 with a 141.4. Just seems like some of his luck has not been on his side. So we go 3 wide over the finish line. Riders rocked back, sending that uphill triple. Single file coming in through these chicanes here. Kozak, Brad go to the inside. Ethan catapults around the outside. We have the mechanics row in the way here as we're still seeing Kozak sitting in that number 4 spot, but Ethan right on that rear wheel. Chase really not that far ahead of them. Brock W did also close that gap back into Rax by 3 seconds or so. Not sure if we had a mistake there from Rax or not.
I didn't see, other than earlier when he washed out in the turn, but I mean, he quickly got right back up. Other than that, he's just been just clicking off laps here, really.
Yeah, man, I really say, like, I feel like some of those really fast guys, that's what separates these guys from the rest of the pack, is they just find a good pace and they just tick laps off. They don't make mistakes and they ride very consistent. I mean, I would say the pace, though, for the greats is going to be very fast anyways, just as we are seeing Rax do here. But Brock W, like I said, a 250 star, charging hard, still in that number 2 spot. Just checking down at the chat as well. Shim saying, don't think they're showing the bikes are good. They're just showing how fast they are. Yeah, but, I mean, as we're seeing some of this E-Road, and right there, Chase tucking the front going down. That allows 3 riders to get past him. You do not see that very often in some of these races where you can be sitting pretty comfortably in 3rd. And one mistake, and there goes Ethan with another mistake. Kind of just take a check back through the rest of this pack here. There we see Kozak. There is Fear Murda sitting in 8th. Ocean, Seawalk, and Strider making their way up still. They have not left this group by much. Ocean and Seawalk still battling it out here. Just taking a look. Seawalk with about 2 seconds of cuts, and Ocean does not have any, so that is keeping Ocean in a great spot. Seawalk's going to make the pass around the outside. Sets him up well, but he makes a mistake. Oh, and he goes down hard. Lost the rear wheel there coming out of that turn. Oh, Mustard in the chat saying that he took 12th first moto. Where are you? Why didn't you race moto number 2?
Starting to see this E-road getting pretty intense in some of these outside lines. Oh, and Rex goes down again. A little washout.
Mustard saying he had to leave. That is unfortunate. But yeah, definitely some of this E-road starting to come into play. Riders may end up having to choose slightly different lines. We know Chase absolutely loves that. But as we're talking about it, Chase now has his hands full with Brad actually falling back another position. Chase must have had a few mistakes. That Fantic looks just a little squirrely here. I'm sure he's going to comment on how that bike does not ride well in E-Road. We can see it kick him back across that triple there. But fantastic ride here from Brad. Like I said, he has been a very consistent rider. May not be the fastest guy on track, but man, does he know how to click laps off. But it does look like Rax now about 7 seconds over his teammate Brock W., who is sitting on a pretty comfortable 13-second lead over third place of Brad. So these two guys kind of found their rhythm, checked out early. We had talked early on if there was going to be any team tactics. Did not seem like they even needed to.
Looks like we got some lapped riders in sight.
As we all know, those lapped riders can always be a hindrance on the top guys. I think the only one that could throw a wrench into this is if Brock W. could catch up to Rax. Like I said, they are teammates, probably sitting in the same VC. But once again, Rax, a ARL champion, knows how to get through the pack and knows how to stay sharp. Still about 3 minutes left here in moto number 2. There's Brock W. and there is Brad. So honestly, not too far apart. I mean, a big mistake from Brock W. could make this race a little more interesting. Brad has started to space himself away from Chase, though. Looks like Chase staying up on his feet, staying up on the pegs, making that bike work through some of that E-road. Looks like Rax actually put the fastest lap time down just recently on that last lap, a 140.2. So Rax not letting off the throttle, now has about 9 seconds, 10 seconds over Brock W., his teammate. And Brock W. still sitting about 10 seconds over Brad here in third. So a little bit of a different story than we saw in moto number 1. These guys starting to space out a little more. That E-road starting to come into play. There is Chase, still about 4 seconds off of Brad. Definitely could make a charge here and see what he can do. We're going to kind of keep the camera here as they jump back down that start straight. There's Ethan Kozak in the number 6 spot. Still waiting on Ocean here. There he is, running in that number 7. There is Strider, Fear Murda. Chubbs, who we saw a great ride in Moto number 1, struggling here in Moto number 2. Seawalk on that Normsco KTM in about 11th, has Shark and Cobia right behind him. Same with Zeke and Ryan. These guys all still right together. Looking for G-Rob and Ford Shot. So a couple guys that we thought we were going to see up towards the front. G-Rob had a strong start to the moto, but unfortunately sliding back to that 16th. Ford Shot now in 17th. And a few riders buried in the back. There is Scriptures and Rax now starting to lap a few of these guys. Rax still absolutely sending down to the flat there. We come into about 25 seconds left here in Moto number 2. Keeping an eye out for there is Brock W. 17 seconds now behind Rax, our leader. And that does look like Brad and Chase still putting on the charge, trying to reel him in.
It's just amazing.
I don't understand where you get 18 seconds on a field like this, but it just shows that Rax is one of the fastest guys playing MX bikes currently. But it looks like Chase mounting a charge, trying to catch Brad here in the final few laps. Looking to put that Cold Hearts Fantic up onto the podium here in Moto number 2. Brad, our Moto 1 winner, knows how to ride consistent. Ethan still a few mistakes, bouncing his way through there. He is still running in that number 5 spot. Kozak sitting in 6th. Ocean, who we saw starting to close the gap in on Kozak, slid back just a little bit. About a 7-second gap there. Going to have his hands full with Strider riding strong in the number 8 spot and Chubbs on that MXL bike in 9th. Seawalk on the Normsco, kind of in no man's land here in that number 10 spot. There is Kobe on that Cold Hearts. Husqvarna, Ryan, Zeke, and Fear now all battling for that 12, 13, and 14th positions. See if we can't catch up to a few of these guys here. There is Brock W. launching his way, jumps way off the side of the track. Coltrane, Brad, and there is Chase. Chase landing right behind Brad. I do not know how he didn't land on him there. 2 different lines, inside, outside. This seems to be the battle on track as they are actually starting to reel in Brock W. Only about 3 seconds off of him now with 2 laps to go. Chase and Brad side by side coming up over that big Dragon's back. Looking to use the same lines there as they do have Coltrane in front of them. You think at this point Coltrane might be running a little bit of a blocker for Brock W. Ooh, and he messes Brad up. Brad catches the tough block, goes down. Ooh, and there goes Coltrane. Oh, and Brad tucks the front, unfortunately. That is going to allow Chase to get by him there, grab that number 3 spot. Still has a couple lap riders in between Chase and Brock W. Rax now sitting 26 seconds over his teammate Brock W. in that number 2 spot. See, where is Chase as Chase comes across in the number 3 spot, grabbing that white flag. Brad still trying to charge and hope that there is a mistake out of the man Chase. We don't see him often, but they can happen, especially with this E-Road. Thought for a second that Chase had caught up to him, but he is not. Still sits about 5 seconds off of Brock W. I don't know if he has enough time. Like I said, we are sitting on the final lap here. Brock W making that big right-hander, jumping down that big Black Label downhill triple.
We're only two more turns before the finish line here with Rax.
Yeah, let's go ahead and kick it on over to your camera as we were going to watch Rax here in Moto number 2 for the MXL Pro Night. Is going to take Moto number 2 on that AEO Canvas TM. Rax absolutely flying out here. He is going to get it done in Moto number 2. We were waiting for his teammate Brock W almost 30 seconds back. Actually, looks like we might have a much closer race here. I'm going to pioneer this real quick as we're seeing Brock W and Chase only a second apart from each other. Chase hoping for another mistake. Brock W going to come across the line in second. Does Chase have enough for it? He does not. Chase on the cold hearts is going to come across in that number 3 spot. Here is Brad. Great ride from him. And actually our Moto number 1 winner in 4th. Ethan, Tyrone, Sculptures, Coltrane. These are all lapped riders there. And there is Kozak coming across in that number 6 spot behind his teammate Ethan. There is Ocean coming across the line in 7th. Chubb's right behind him in 8th. There is Strider on that MXL THV in 9th. There's Seawalk on that Normsco KTM getting that bike across the line in the 10th position. Cobia right behind him in 11th. Ryan on that Racetech MXL team in 12th. Fear Murda, Shark, and Zeke now coming across the line. Zeke actually going to grab that 13th. Shark in 14th. Fear Murda in 15th. It looks like the rest of the crew has came through already. So fantastic racing that we saw here tonight here in Portugal. Ashley and Coltrane looking good out there, really laying it down. It's an absolutely fantastic racing. Always love to see close battles. This Moto number 2 Rax was able to get out to an early lead, kind of pull away with it. But always great to see. Like I said, that Moto number 1, our top 6 to 7 riders all staying within about 10 seconds of each other throughout the whole race. You do not see that very often. We're going to go ahead and kick it on back to the booth here as we are waiting for overall results to get posted. Splash saying disappointed in the 250 class for letting Rax slap them around. Yeah, man. Well, hey, if you would jump in here, we'd actually we'd have some good competition, but like I said, too early on, all the sponsors making this possible. You'll see the ticker down there at the bottom. Normsco, SPX Performance, Fremo Films, VMV, Speed Photography there, and AB Customs. Big shout out to y'all. You guys are the ones that help us get through each week, help us get all the booths set up and everything else. So big shout out to y'all. Like I said, Splash hanging out in the chat with us, that SPX Performance. If you're looking for any suspension needs or any rider coaching, make sure you guys go check them out. I think if I did it right, let me see if it works. Or is it? Yeah, there you go. There's all of our sponsor list there, if that worked. If you do exclamation point sponsors, you'll get a list of all our sponsors and their Discord links. Make sure you guys go check them out if you're looking for anything. Like I said, Normsco, great place to go hang out. They got open lobbies. And if you're just looking to hang out with some cool guys, make sure you go check them out. SPX Performance, like I said, You mean yours is not there? Yes, it is. It's the second one. Oh, your link's not. Whoops. Here, hold on. I got you. Wait, I could have sworn I did that. He said as we are waiting for things to get rolling, let me make sure we get Splash's link here in the chat. So if anybody is looking for any of those suspension needs, like I said, he also does rider coaching. I've heard great things about it. Make sure you guys go check out his Discord pages. He's got his price list and everything over there. But once again, big shout out to the MXL guys. They are the ones that give us the opportunity to have a series to even be racing. Like I said, they're pouring a lot into this. They are pretty new to the MX Bikes community, but already making a well-rounded series and a name that, I mean, we're seeing Rax and a lot of fast guys jumping into this. I mean, Matt, what were your thoughts on tonight's racing? I feel like I'm just kind of rambling on here.
Oh man, I mean, like, what's to say? You know, these guys just putting in an impressive ride as always. You know, I'm just always in awe when watching these guys. They just kicking around a track like it's nothing. I've been out there, I've played on that track, and it's brutal. You know, I don't understand how they get around it so quickly. I need to maybe get with one of these guys and get me some training as well because they're definitely doing something I'm not.
Yeah, man. Like I said, Splash. I know he's been doing quite well. He's had quite a few people hanging out with him and doing his riding sessions, and at least from what I've heard, is a lot of people have really been enjoying it. So, I said if that's something that you'd be interested in, make sure you go check out his Discord there. Um, I think he also does some base setups too. So if you're just looking to um, go hop in there, take a look. Um, go try out some of his stuff. I know he does some fantastic stuff, but it looks like we had a little bit of issue uploading Moto number 2, so it should be going up now. I believe Rax is going to be taking the overall, so looks like we already got a few guys hanging out in here. I think Rax is going to be our overall winner. Let's go ahead and kick it on down to the podium, get these guys in here. So taking the overall on the night, Rax he went 2-1 for the overall. What is going on, Rax? How we doing, brother?
What is good, boys?
Solid night, my man.
Dude, you were absolutely flying out there, that Moto number 2. I mean, just hauling and just
I was marking even better on Moto 1. I just came back from dead last, so I couldn't really show it off results.
That is true. I mean, you were catching Brad there in that Moto number 1. He had made a few mistakes as well. I thought we were going to see a much closer battle, but
I got a little Poboso physics trying to hit an inside corner, and I couldn't stay alive.
Yeah,
Happened to me like 2 laps in a row. It was bad.
Yeah, man. But still, I mean, obviously came out here, went 2-1 on the night, taking that overall. What was the decision on the TM?
Honestly, Chase was just deciding to troll, and I don't really race this series much, so I don't care if I ride the meta bike. So I just decided to pull out the TM. It was the worst bike in the 250 class. Apparently.
I was going to say, I mean, it clearly showed. I think both motos you had the fastest lap and obviously taking the overall. That shows something. But man, yeah, no, it was great racing. I was saying in that Moto number 1, just between first and probably 12th was only about 12 seconds apart. So yeah. I mean, it was some great racing. How was some of that E-road? We were trying to see what it was like, but couldn't really tell.
Honestly, I didn't really. I like E-Road in this game, and that TM was kind of munching the E-Road, so I didn't really like feel it much, except for on the wall. The wall was just, it was horrendous. That thing would just kick you like a mile in the sky. It was
You were
bad.
flying off that thing.
Yeah.
We had Matt kind of just doing the leader cam on you pretty much the whole race, and I'd glance over and watch it, and just you were skying that thing.
Yeah. If you hit the E-Road, you're either gonna endo forward or you're gonna be set a mile in the sky. There's no in between.
No, man. But once again, congratulations on that first place overall. Anybody you'd like to thank on tonight's performance?
AO for giving me these clean kits and bikes, and then the OEM supporter team for actually making a good stock setup on a bike for once in their life. Other than that, I don't know if that's the thing.
Awesome, man. Yeah, I was gonna ask you, did they hook you up with a bike for tonight or
Nah,
nah?
they're not gonna make a TM.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Well, like I said, man, congratulations on the win. Hopefully we'll see you in the kind of continuing rounds. You always make it some great racing and always a blast to watch somebody give Kozak and the rest of the crew a run for their money. So hopefully we'll see you here in the following weeks. Outside of that, man, congratulations, and we'll be talking soon.
All right. Hopefully,
man.
see you boys next week.
Yeah, hopefully. Have a good one,
Boys
brother.
later.
Awesome. Like I said, always great seeing Rax in here. One of the fastest guys really in MX bikes. So great to see him running this MXL class.
Yeah, man, he was absolutely sending it.
See here if results have been completely posted. Waiting to see here. I know Chase is sitting up there in the podium. He's waiting. He always loves being on the on the podium and in the booth. Chase, I see up there. I'm not ignoring you. Let's see. Okay, Chase did take third overall. So taking third overall on the night. What did he take? So he would have gone. Did he go 3-3? Yes. So Chase going 3-3 on the night, taking third place overall. The man, Chase. What is going on, brother? How we doing?
Good, man. How about yourself?
Doing well, doing well. Hey, I can't complain when we get some awesome racing like that from pretty much from first place all the way back to about 15th. Y'all were within 20 seconds of each other, both motos. So just fantastic racing and fantastic viewership from our perspective. And take us through moto number 2. That seemed like a rough one. Every time we'd look over,
struggling.
You'd catch a flow, a few laps, you're flying, move yourself up, you were right there behind Brock W, and then all of a sudden you were back in like 7th. I was like, what just happened?
Well, I've learned that my character in MX Bikes has the arm strength of a toddler, apparently. And I sent the wall twice and I just kind of fell over. So that was cool. And then how I went from right behind Rax to like an 8th, I took a quick fishing trip, got sent all the way into the lake from that outside berm. So that was fun. Not ideal there.
Well, you catch anything out there?
Oh yeah, I caught a couple dirt samples and that was about it, dude. But we made it back on the Fantic. Got on the podium on the Fantastic. That thing sucks. I'm never riding that again.
That was my next question. I know you had been talking about riding that Fantic coming into this race. Obviously, weren't able to get a dialed-in suspension for it.
But I had that thing dialed, dude. That thing is just so bad. It's got a whole 41 horsepower to its name, dude. It's not good. It's struggling. It's slow, and then on top of being slow, the suspension sucks. So it's like a lose-lose scenario there.
Well, hey man, I
so
mean,
disclaimer here: never ride the Fantasy 250, please.
Just
From
taking a look
experience.
at it, though. I mean, going 3-3 on tonight with an absolutely stacked class, that is absolutely phenomenal, even on a bike that nobody touches. So that was awesome to see. And Rax kind of called you out too. He jumped on the TM because he had heard you were riding the Fantic.
Oh yeah, we were in the same call the whole time. We were trying to go 1-2 on the off meta bikes, and then I sold the bag. That second moto, I had it.
Did you know that Brock W had some cuts on that last moto there?
Yeah, and then I front tucked on the last corner, that little roller thing.
I was
I had like the
wondering.
smallest front tuck in the world. It like barely even did anything. I lost half a second, maybe a second. But if I didn't do that, I would have beat him.
Yeah, man, that's unfortunate. I think it would have been close. I don't know. You might have gotten Brad too. You guys probably would have gone 1-2 if you could have gotten around him. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
but other than that, though, going 3-3 on the night, like I said, an absolutely stacked class. That just shows even on the Fantic you can get it done. Um, outside of that, man, anybody you'd like to thank for tonight's performance?
Cold Hearts boys, as per usual. Rax hanging out in the call, being a homie, all that good stuff. Freaking CBS suspension, you already know. Putting the Fantic on the podium. And thank you to you guys, casting, as always. You know the deal. MXL for all their good stuff. And we'll be back next week on the Cowie. That's the next on the list.
Ooh, Cowie, huh? Well, hey, man, we
Yeah,
saw Fear was riding that bike really well. Unfortunately, Moto number 2 didn't go as planned for him. Um,
yeah. All the other bikes are decent. So the Fantic is the worst one. So we got that one out of the way, which is good.
I
The rest of them are not too bad.
was gonna
Like
say
they're
how many
okay.
rounds we have left here. So we got 4 rounds left. We have seen you on
Yeah, I have
every.
4 more bikes to do
Okay,
because
so
I'm not riding the Husky or KTM. I got Cowies, Suzuki, TM, and then the 24 Yamaha, and then I've ridden them all.
yeah, that's
So,
awesome to see. Like I said, it's really cool that we need to implement a rule into bikes that you like can't ride the same bike twice.
oh yeah, that would be sick. But we'll be back on the Cowie, which is a good bike. Honestly, debatable to ride for like actually aerial. So
Ooh, interesting.
I've seen a couple of people ripping that for DDC
Well,
and
I
SMX.
think we head to the back to the U.S. actually, so a track that is not going to be an easy one. I think we're at Glen Helen, right? Yeah.
Oh god.
So that's going to
Oh,
be a fun one.
that one's kind of my kryptonite, to be honest. So we'll see what happens.
Awesome, man. Well, once again, congratulations going 3-3 tonight. Like I said, always hope to see you in the box here and up on the podium as we move forward through the rest of the rounds. Other than that, man, I hope you have a great rest of your night.
Oh yeah, you too, brother.
Awesome. Thanks, man. Awesome. Well, it looks like the overall standings was going to be Chase on that Cold Hearts in the number 3 spot, Brad in that LMC CDS taking second, and Rax on the AEO Canvas TM taking that number 1 spot tonight. Brock W making a charge back, gets himself into that number 4 spot overall. Kozak in 5th, Ethan in 6th, Chubb 7th, Strider 8th, Ocean in 9th. Great night for Ocean there. Ryan in 10th, Fear Murder in 11th, Seawalk on that Norms Co. going to be in 12th, Shark AEO Canvas in 13th, Zeke Ford Shot, Cobia in 16th, Mustard, Benentz, G-Rob, Scriptures, Coltrane, Tyrone, MXB Aiden, Moto, Carbon, Ghost, Dr. Geo, Enrique, Omnipotent, Toluba, Coxie, unfortunately retiring after Moto number 1, Leezy, and Scrifty rounding out all of our riders there in tonight's race. Like I said, big shout out to the MXL guys. Rico over there runs an absolutely fantastic show. Love having the opportunity to be their broadcasters. Like I said, if you guys aren't following, make sure you guys hit that follow button. I saw a couple people saying ads. Hey man, I have it set to a rotating thing. If you don't like ads, hit that subscribe button. $5.99 a month, no ads. If you got the Prime subscription, get a free one every month. Like I said, we're gonna try and stream as much as we possibly can. Right now, we're every Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So if you like the MX Bikes community, you like the broadcasting side of things, make sure you guys use that Prime subscription. Outside of that, big shout out to Matt hanging out in the booth with me. Hopefully that split camera looks good. I'll have to go back and watch that VOD back, but
Hopefully, I did a good job with that.
that's not the part I'm worried about. I'm more worried about that my setup side, but I think just kind of the little preview that I have, I think things went well. So no, man, big shout out to you. Always love having you in here. Like I said, somebody to talk to and bounce ideas off with.
It's always a pleasure being here, man.
Yeah, once again, like I said, big shout out to the sponsors ticking down on that bottom bar: Normsco, SPX Performance, that's Splash over there. Like I said, if you're looking for any suspension needs, make sure you check those guys out. Fremo Films, the homie, he's starting to do some IRL graphics. If you guys are looking for something, want a little one-on-one graphic design, make sure you hit him up. VMV Eltrix, the man, Speed Photography Dean over there, and AB Customs, Bryce, a top donator still. If you want to get your name on that list, either put your name up on the leaderboard in those donations, reach out to me. We can work something out. Definitely let me know, and we can get you onto that ticker bar. Like I said, moving forward, we're going to be moving on to some big things here in the near future come Supercross season. Make sure you guys are staying tuned. Outside of that, that's all we have for this beautiful Monday night. Hopefully everybody has a great rest of your night, and we will see you guys tomorrow for the TPR OCE MX1 class. All right, boys. Peace.
Peace.
I wish I found some better sounds no one's ever heard. I wish I had a better voice that sang some better words. I wish I found some chords in an order that is new. I wish I didn't have to rhyme every time I sang. I was told when I get older all my fears would shrink, but now I'm insecure and I care what people think. My name's Blurry Face and I care what you think. My name's Blurry Face and I care what you think. Wish we could turn back time